Hi, so in today's video I'm going to show you how I created all these shapes from one simple design that's already in ScanNCut Canvas. So I'm in ScanNCut Canvas and I'm on the Canvas Projects tabs, and if you scroll down you'll find this wall mirror stickers. Select it, come down here and you'll find the mat with the designs on. I'm going to choose this left icon here, import parts, and say OK. Now if you look closely at this design, it's not joined here or here. So basically this is in three parts. So I'm just going to move one off to the side, and I'm going to select this one, right click and hit ungroup, and you'll see now I've got three bounding boxes. So each one of these shapes is a separate part. So the first thing I'm going to do is, using the mouse, I'm going to drag this one in and up slightly so that it overlaps here and it overlaps here, and I'm going to do the same with the other side. So I'm going to drag this one in, this part here I'm going to overlap here, and this thin bit here I'm going to overlap here. So again I'm just going to drag it in. Now it's gone behind, you can't see, so while it's selected I'm going to right click and hit bring to front, and now you can see that it's overlapping and it's overlapping. And I'm happy with that. I think that looks okay. I'm just going to go back to fit to mat and drag a box round it and have a look how it looks. With it all selected and overlapping, I'm now going to go to edit weld. So that's now my basic shape. So if I fill it with a colour, you'll see. I'm just going to take it down slightly. So it's just over 5.5 inches, and I'm going to make a duplicate of it. And put that off to the side. So the first thing I did in making my projects was just simply made a frame. So I'm going to duplicate this, and then I'm going to rotate it, holding the shift key down. Then I'm going to create a duplicate and go to edit, mirror, and bring that one down so it overlaps here. Just move this one out of the way. Going to select these two and align them along the left edge. So edit, align, and now they're overlapped here, I'm going to go to edit and weld, and they're now one and welded together. So I'm going to select them, right click, duplicate, and then edit and mirror horizontally, and then bring this over here until these overlap in the middle. Select them both, just align them along the top edge so you know that they're lined up, and then edit and weld. So that's now a frame. Just going to move these out of the way. Just want extra copies of them because I'm going to do lots of different shapes with them. So now I'm just, for the sake of the video, I'm just going to drag it in and make it smaller, just to give me some space. So that's one frame. Now obviously this is quite delicate and I wouldn't cut it too small, but I'm just shrinking this down, as I say, just to fit on the page. So that's one shape, which would just give you the frame that I showed you in the screenshot at the beginning with a hole in the middle. But if I right click and create a duplicate, and bring the duplicate on and then come over to the basic shapes and get a circle, and then just drag a circle out, select them both, go edit center horizontally and center vertically, and then while they're both selected, edit weld. And then I'll just fill this one in with colour so that you can see. We'll do this one a shade of kind of salmon pink. So this one now has a solid centre with the detailing around the outside. So that's another shape. The next thing I'm going to do is bring the original one back on that's still in sections, and I'm going to make a duplicate of that and just put one off to one side. So with this one, I'm going to right click and ungroup. I'm going to move that off to one side because I'll need it in a minute. I'm going to get rid of that one, and then this one I'm going to hold the shift key down and rotate it so it's vertical. And while it's selected, I'm going to right click and make a duplicate. I'm going to rotate this one, select them both, go to edit center so they line up centrally. I'm not bothered that they don't touch in the middle here. I'm going to select them both and right click and make them a group. And you can see they're a group now because they've got one big bounding box around them. So with this selected, I'm going to hold the Alt key down on my keyboard, and while keeping it pressed, I'm going to get hold of the rotate handle and drag another pattern out horizontally and then let go. Then I'm going to hold the Alt key down on my keyboard again, drag the handles out and rotate this one so it sits centrally between these two, and let go, and then hold the Alt key down again and drag another one out, and again just line it up so this one here now sits centrally within here. So I'm going to drag an imaginary box around all those, and with them all selected, I'm going to go to edit and weld. And because these were touching here, these have welded but these haven't, but it'll be okay because we're going to weld them all to another shape in a minute. So just as again, for the sake of the video, I'm going to make it smaller, and I'm just going to fill it with another colour. Just so you can see it easier on the screen. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is create a circle and drag my circle out so that it's bigger than this green shape. I'm going to put the flourish on top of the circle. Select both, go to edit center on the horizontal and edit center on the vertical. I'm just going to click in the middle and see what selects. Now it's selected the circle, which means the circle's on top. So to do the first part, I need to send it to the back. I think it may have moved, so I'm just going to center them vertically and horizontally again. Now I'm clicking on the flourish and that's selecting, so I now know that the flourish is on top. But before I do anything, I want to make a copy of this and drag the duplicate off to the side. Now I'm going to select both, and with the flourish shape on top of the circle, I'm going to go to edit, subtract, and that's punched this shape out of this circle now. So again, I'm just going to shrink it down just to give me room on the page, and then I'm just going to fill it in with colour just so you can see how it looks. So that's another design. Now I'm going to work with this one again, but I want a circle again, so I'm going to drag a circle out so that it's bigger than this shape. Well, I need the first circle to be just about the same size or slightly smaller than this. So with the circle selected, I'm just going to drag it down and just see how it looks by eye. So that'll do for now, and then I'll move that out of the way. So with this circle now, I'm going to come to Edit, use the offset icon. I want it outward, and I'm going to make it 0.32 and say OK. Select both. The smaller circle needs to be on top. Do Edit, Subtract. Now it's disappeared because the big circle's on top, so I'm going to right click and send it to the back, click anywhere to deselect, and then click in the middle again, and now that's telling me that the middle circle is selected. So I'm just going to select both. So I've got the outside circle and I've got the smaller circle on top, or at the front if you like. I'm going to go to Edit, Subtract, and that now has made me a frame. And if I fill this with black just so you can see this is transparent and it's just a frame. So I'm going to bring this one back in, select both, go to Edit, Center and Edit, Middle. Just undo that, I've got too many things selected, get out of the way. Select both, Edit, Center and Edit, Middle. And we're going to weld, so it doesn't matter whether the flourish design is on top or not. It's only when you're doing a subtract that it's important. So I'm going to select both of these and go Edit, Weld. And if the flourishes are overlapping this inner circle, it will all weld as it has done here, and it's all filled with colour. If I take the colour out, you can see where it's welded all around the edge. So we'll leave that one black for now, and again I'll just shrink it down and make it smaller. Now I want one of these, just a corner section. So we'll zoom back out. So for this one now, I'm going to hold the Shift key down and rotate it so it keeps this perfectly horizontal. I'm going to right click and make a duplicate, and then I'm going to go Edit, Flip Vertically, and then again I'm just going to hold the Shift key down and rotate it, and I want to line these two up so they overlap here and here. So I'm going to select both, Edit, Center, so they sit centrally and they're both overlapping, and while they're selected I'm just going to get to Edit, Weld. And now it's all turned one colour with one bounding box, so you know this is welded. Then I'm going to come over to the basic shapes and I'm going to choose this rectangle that's got rounded corners. And I'm going to position this over here and just drag it out and drag it down until I know it's going to overlap in sections of this design. I'm going to select both, Edit, Center and Edit, Middle, and that puts this rectangular shape directly in the middle of this flourish design now, and with everything still selected, Edit, Weld. And again, if I fill this with colour now, just so you can see it better on screen, I find filling it with colour gives me more of an idea of what I'm actually going to get cut once I send it to the machine. So I know that this is green, and I would imagine this being cut from a piece of green card. So anything that's white I know is not cut, is see-through if you like, is hollow, and anything that's green would be what I would end up with. So again, I'm just going to take it down and make it smaller. So the last one I'm going to do now is show you how I made a frame which you could use to frame a picture. So the first thing I'm going to do is choose a rectangle, and I'm going to untick Maintain Aspect Ratio, and I'm going to make this 4, and then in this box I'm going to make it 6. And that effectively is my template that's just a guide for me to see on screen, and that would be a 6x4 photograph, which is a fairly standard size. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to duplicate this rectangle and I'm going to make it 7 by 5. So again, with the maintain aspect ratio unticked, I'm going to make this 5, say enter, and make this one 7 and enter. And this is going to be my frame. This one here represents my photograph. So with this one now, I'm going to come to edit, offset, make it an inward, and I'm going to take it up to 1 inch and say OK. The inward section has to be on top of the bigger rectangle. Going to select both and go edit, subtract, and again now that's made a frame. It's punched this smaller square or rectangle out of this bigger shape, and again just going to fill it with colour just so you can see it on the screen to give you more of an idea. I'm going to fill this one with a purple colour. Okay, so I've now got a frame. So I'm just going to get this section that I kept before from when I broke up my design and bring this onto the screen. Now, I'll put it here for now because it's got a white fill, it's disappearing on the map. I'm going to shrink it down by dragging in a corner. Just doing this by eye and taking it down to about just under 2.5 inches. With it selected, I'm going to come to edit, offset. This time I want an outward and I'm going to make it about 1/4 inch and say OK. Now the outward has gone on top and that's why you can't see the design underneath, but it is still there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on this and right click and send it to the back so you can see I've got my outward and now my original design. I'm going to select both, drag them over here. I'm going to right click and make them a group, and I'm only doing that so that I can rotate the design into position. And when I'm happy with how it looks, I'm going to right click and ungroup and then just click anywhere on the page to deselect. So I'm going to select the outward shape, hold my shift key down and select the frame. I've not got the middle flourish selected, just the outward and the frame, and I'm going to come to edit and weld. And that's welded those two together, but my flourish is still underneath. So I'm just going to put that back. I'm going to select the frame and right click and send it to the back top. So this is still a separate shape. So now the flourish is on top of this welded frame. I'm going to select both and I'm going to go to edit, subtract, and that's punched the flourish shape now out of this shape here. So if I now fill this with colour, I'm running out of colours. Use this bright pink. You can see that you can see through it. And this would be my 6x4 photo, which would go behind. So if I just fill this with colour, fill this with a paler pink, you can see that that would be your picture that would sit behind. Your frame would cover the edge of your photograph, and then you'd have this design cut out which would still show a bit of your photo. So I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to get rid of that. So I'm just going to zoom out to try and get everything onto the map. So I'm going to get rid of this one now because I don't need it. From this simple shape that was in ScanNCut Canvas already, I've created all these different designs. So if I zoom in, and show you. So all this has been created from this, and you could go on and on and on. It's endless what you could do. Just keep welding the shapes together, create a shape, weld that to another shape, see what you get. So I hope you found that helpful. Please give the video a thumbs up if you did. Don't forget to subscribe if you don't already do so, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.